Hello, everyone. Oops. Always struggling to pin my comment. Let's see. One day I hope that, Instagram makes it easier to pin comments in mesh gloves. Great. Hi, guys. That's my song, Universal Healthcare. Famously, I dropped a music video for it this Monday. Yeah. It's animated by Mary Houlihan, who is this brilliant, brilliant artist. Daria homage, because I absolutely love Daria. But yeah, this is going to be a fantastic show. As always, this is a comedy show where I interview my guests about race. If you are an international publication, make sure to include that it is a comedy show, because that context is very important. As always, please feel free to leave comments. Leave comments. Be funny. Have fun. Speak from the heart. Be kind, but keep it real. Yeah, we're gonna have a great show. We have George Severus and Kimberly Drew, who are very brilliant people. Okay, let's just start the show. Okie dokes. Oh, there George is. Hi guys, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for watching. Hi.
Hi.
Hi George. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling? Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Wait, you're a little bit. I'm getting a little Cher auto-tune from you.
You're getting auto-tuned?
Does anyone else hear it? If not, then it's me.
Can you guys hear me well? Please sound off in the comments. La 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 la.
Well,
people are just complimenting my outfit.
Okay,
so.
I mean, we can try. You truly sound like Cher singing "Believe," but we can try.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, thank you for doing the show. Can we just hop into some questions? I've been researching you all week.
Great.
Well, so famously, you are a Cancer sun, and your birthday was 2 days ago. How old did you turn?
I turned 29.
Oh my God! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. So what do you have to say to the Black people who will never make it to that age because of racist institutions?
What do I have to say to them? I'm sorry for any complicity that I contributed to those institutions.
George, they're dead. That's disgusting. Now, would you describe yourself as light-skinned?
No, I would describe myself as white.
Okay. What do you say to people who assume that you are Black or half Black because of your dark skin tone?
What do I correct them kindly.
How?
For instance, once I was almost booked on a lineup that was supposed to be all Latinx comedians, and so they asked me if I was, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not, but I'm happy to recommend people who are. And they didn't need me to recommend anyone, so it all worked out.
Okay, George. Now, how many Black and Latinx friends do you have? Can you list them?
I have many. I'm not going to count or list them. I'm sorry.
Then how can I be sure that you have these friends in your life?
Well, we can talk. Well, I mean, I hate two people separately texted me to tell me to shout them out when you ask me this, so I can do that. But I'm not going to shout anyone out without their consent.
Okay, so who are you going to shout out?
It was my friend Milana and my friend Lauren.
Okay, and they're Black women.
They are, yeah.
And what do you like about these Black women in particular?
Well, they're both very different. Lauren was my roommate in San Francisco when I lived there, and we went to college together. And I like that she's incredibly funny and incredibly intelligent. Very, just like a wonderful person and a good friend. And she was a really good roommate when we lived together. And then my friend Milana is very smart and funny. She works in fashion. She's very fashionable. Actually, no, sorry. She works in makeup, and
okay,
she's very
keep
good.
your story straight, George. It sounds like these Black women are made up. Now,
she works at, last time I checked, she worked at Pat McGrath.
Okay, well, I'll have to follow up with my fact checkers. So you grew up in a multilingual household, and half of the time you lived in Greece and half of the time you lived in America.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you met your first Black person?
I was in second grade.
And tell me about that traumatic experience for you.
Well, I spent most of my early childhood in Greece, then we moved to the United States in second grade, so I didn't know any Black people in Greece, and then we lived in New Jersey. I couldn't tell you like exactly, I don't remember who the person was. I'm assuming, since I was then in a diverse community, that is when I met not only the first Black person I ever met, but like I'm sure other people of color as well, because Greece is pretty homogenous.
This is your response to me asking if it was traumatic. Wow. Now,
Is that what you asked? I didn't hear
that's
you.
exactly what
No,
I asked.
I didn't know it was not traumatic at all.
Rolled off the tongue.
No, it was not traumatic.
George, how would you describe white people in 3 words?
What kind of people?
White people.
White people?
Sure.
White people in 3 words. The bad race.
You're not going to get any points for self-loathing. Speaking of, you have a friend who messaged me, DM'd me. Her name is Mariah, childhood friend. She said that your real name is not Civeris, but rather, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Wait, I'm sorry. What is her name?
Mariah.
Mariah?
Yes, her name is Mariah, and she said that your real last name starts with a TS.
Yeah. I changed my name for comedy because my real last name is very difficult to pronounce.
And so her question for you is, will you change your name back to your real last name in solidarity with Greece?
In solidarity with Greece as a country?
Sure.
Well, I don't have to be in solidarity. I am Greek. And I changed my name. In fact, I didn't want to like Americanize my name, so I changed it so that, in fact, the C is more authentic than the TS, because the TS was because of like a linguistic change that happened, but in fact, it would have been with a C, in the olden times. Next question.
Wow. Okay. Let's go through some of your tweets. So you tweeted, famously, Black Panther radicalized me in being an advocate for women in STEM, and this got 11 likes and 1 retweet.
Yeah, it was before I got more followers.
Okay, and how do you defend a tweet like that?
So the tweet was, Black Panther radicalized me to support women in STEM.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess the joke would be that it's a bait and switch because you expect me to talk about racial justice because I'm talking about radicalization, but instead, because there are so many brilliant women in STEM in that film, it actually radicalized me to support women in STEM. So it's kind of like a little silly, innocent joke.
Oh, a silly, innocent joke about Black women in science fields. Hilarious. Now, George, I have a tweet to pull up for you, and this is a tweet. Okay, it said, oh wait, let's refresh. It says, quote, wait, why wasn't this loading? Oh, I guess it's not valuable. But the tweet says, today's look, gay curator of exhibition on African art featuring only white artists.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So see, the outfit that you're wearing is this. That's right. And you guys can notice that it has 26 likes.
Right. So like I'm wearing kind of a mustard colored turtleneck and like a pea coat. And so I look kind of like a problematic professor or something. So then I made the joke that I look like, I look like a white professor of African American studies or something.
Yes, and what's funny about that, George?
Well, what's funny about it is that it's like incongruous, because in fact it's problematic when white academics fetishize art made by people of color.
Interesting.
So I managed to be both self-deprecating and do social commentary kind of in that one tweet.
Honestly, it was a timely piece of satire with 26 likes. Now, you like Lil Wayne. I listened to this on IO's Iconography podcast with Olivia, that you said that you're a huge fan of Lil Wayne. So what's a Lil Wayne bar that you enjoy?
I really like his verse in the Solange song, which now I'm not remembering the title of.
Oh, you don't remember?
No, I do. Wait, hold on. It's like one word.
Oh.
Well, anyway, it's like about his experience with mental health and his experience in jail and stuff.
Okay, so okay.
Hard. It's called Hard?
No, it's called Mad.
Mad.
Reaching there. Also, on Straight Lab podcast, you did an impression of Keely Williams' accent in 3LW's song.
In my podcast, I did that?
Yes. Now, what can you give us? You said something like promises, but you said it with a lisp. Could you just do that for the class, please?
I'm not going to do that.
Oh, okay. So it was okay to do on your podcast in front of Sam Taggart, but it's not okay to do in front of a Black woman.
Well, I'm pretty sure that our guest that episode was a Black woman.
Oh. Okay.
So I don't really know if that checks out.
Okay. Now let's talk through some civil rights leaders. And you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind when I say their names. Now, Martin Luther King.
A very famous civil rights activist who was involved in the March on Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Malcolm X.
Like a more radical civil rights leader. Was a Black nationalist, disagreed with King on a lot of stuff, did not support the March on Washington. Yeah.
Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey is again a Black nationalist. I believe he was a Black separatist. Again, a radical during the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Philip Asa Randolph.
Who?
Philip Asa Randolph.
I believe he was involved in the Black Panthers.
No.
Okay.
Huey P. Newton.
Wait, I'm sorry. I know Philip. I think he was also involved in the March on Washington. Is that correct?
He was involved in the March on Washington, but there were thousands of people involved in the March on Washington.
I know. Okay, but he was during King's time, not during the... Yes, sorry.
Yes. Fun fact. So actually, Philip Asa Randolph was going to do an original March on Washington, but then Roosevelt, I think, signed Executive 8802, and so they didn't do the march. So then when Martin Luther King came back 30 years later, they were like, I will do a march, famously. Now, Huey P. Newton.
Black Panther.
Okay. Stokely Carmichael.
Also Black Panther. Yeah, like, was very controversial, was surveilled by the FBI.
Fred Hampton.
Also Black Panther, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know. Stokely Carmichael coined the term Black Power. That's really what his claim to fame was, and he had a book about that. Do you know who Kwame Ture is?
Who?
Kwame Ture.
No.
Okay. So Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture are the same person. Now, what about Shirley Chisholm?
She was a congresswoman. She was the first Black woman to run for president, and she was played by Uzo Aduba in Mrs. America.
Okay, go off with the FX reference. We love cable. Now, Angela Davis.
Angela Davis, writer and activist, prison abolitionist. She writes a lot about the prison industrial complex, lesbian, feminist. I think she currently... Oh, actually, no, I know for a fact that she currently teaches at UC Santa Cruz because my friend is there, and I think she teaches at the History of Consciousness department.
Okay, Louis Farrakhan.
Very controversial figure in the Nation of Islam, and also I read a couple of days ago that Leah Remini said he had ties to Scientology.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't fact check it. But he's controversial because he's like a lot of people have distanced themselves from him because he's made anti-Semitic comments.
Okay, you did your research today, and the Stanford education is showing. Now, are Greeks the Negroes of white people?
No.
Okay, how do you say black in Greek?
Um. Black, like mavros.
Sounds like a slur. Now, what do you qualitatively like about the black community?
Um. I don't. There's enough diversity within the Black community that I can't. That there aren't like. I don't want to project any commonalities onto them that are not consistent.
Okay, cool. So nothing. Can you name 5 black people off the top of your head?
Yes. Taraji P. Henson, Issa Rae, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Blue Ivy.
Okay. Hey, God bless. You didn't struggle at all. Now, have you ever called the police on a black person before?
No.
If you had to call the police, if I stabbed you and then robbed you, like, what would you do? 911. What's your emergency?
No. Well, if I was actively being stabbed, I would probably just start like screaming.
But then you have your phone in your hands. 911. What's your emergency?
No, I would start screaming and I would say, "Can anyone with good politics come save me?"
I don't believe that, but you know what? I support that.
Thank you.
It. Now, okay, are you versed in art? Because our next guest is an art junkie, an art expert, really.
Oh my God, I thought you asked me if I'm verse.
No, I wouldn't ask that.
Okay. Well, anyway, am I well versed in like fine art, like visual art?
Any art.
I mean, I would say I'm relatively well versed in. I would say I'm not as well versed in like visual art or like fine art as I am in like, I don't know, film or literature or whatever.
Oh, so literature. So who are your favorite black authors?
No, wait, let's go with art.
No, who are your favorite black authors, George?
My favorite black authors, let's see. I just reread Homegoing by Ya Jesse, who's a friend of mine, and I just ordered.
Flex?
Sorry?
Flex.
Yeah, well. I just ordered, this is not original because it was like the #1 book in the country, but I just ordered The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett because I've heard good things about it.
But you haven't read it?
No.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Back to black art for a second. I'm going to just name artists and you tell me just make up, you're an improviser. You're very good at comedy. You have a very hilarious comedy set on Comedy Central. Everybody should go watch. But you're really good at like making things up and being funny. So I'm going to say an artist name and you're just going to make up or name a real title of their work, okay?
Uh-huh.
So Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Well, I mean, I know who he is. I don't know the titles of. In fact, okay.
Make one up.
Untitled.
That's actually accurate. Now, what about Archibald Motley?
Who?
Archibald Motley. He is a famous Harlem Renaissance painter.
Untitled.
Okay. Kehinde Wiley.
Untitled.
Okay. Kara Walker.
Oh, the Big Sugar Baby.
Awesome.
And also her like the cutouts she does that are like figures that present a narrative. But the Sugar Baby, but it's not called a Sugar Baby, so I'm sorry, but it was in the Domino Sugar Factory and it was a giant like Sphinx-like baby. And then in fact, you might not know this, but a part of it was then displayed in Idra, which is a Greek island, and I went and saw it there, so I actually saw it in Greece.
Okay, flex. Augusta, obviously I wouldn't know that. Augusta Savage.
I unfortunately, I'm not well versed in art. I'm sorry. Untitled.
Faith Ringgold.
Sorry?
Faith Ringgold.
I think I said Molly Ringwald. I don't know. Untitled.
Okay, great. You know what? George, you are so funny and fantastic. And you know, while you might not be well versed in art, you are well versed in comedy. Now,
thank you.
Here's 2 questions for you. Are you going to pay reparations?
I'm sure.
Will you commit to paying reparations?
I mean, emphatically, yes. I would like, if that were on the table, I mean, it's not going to happen in this administration, but I would vote for reparations and I would, participate in it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, I'm happy to, if if you want to choose like a place for me to donate, I'm happy to do that. But I also want to say that like reparations should be a collective thing that is money that is given by the government, and it shouldn't, like, I feel like it's very libertarian kind of like ideologically to for it to fall on people that are doing it willingly, because then the people with the most power and the wealthiest people are not going to be forced to do it. So I'm happy to pay things individually, but I also think it should be a collective responsibility.
You know, that is a really easy cop-out for what I was about to ask you, which was to pay reparations to all of my viewers. Now, last question. Why did you come on the show?
I just really respect you, and I really love you, and I think you're so smart. And I mean, I don't know. We've known each other. We've been like friendly for a while, but
you didn't list me as your friend.
Sorry?
You didn't list me as your friend earlier.
Well, because I only list the people who asked me to list them. I'm not going to just talk about you without asking you if that's okay with you.
Okay, I'll keep that for the record next time I hear you talking shit. Now, everybody, please give it up for George in the comments. It's his birthday. Go follow him. He is so funny. Watch his set on Comedy Central. Bye, George. Thank you so much.
Bye, Ziwe.
So funny. Wow. Okay, guys, we did it. That was great. Let us continue on this, journey we call life with the fantastic Kimberly Drew. They are a brilliant, brilliant mind, and I can't wait to talk to them. Now, where is Kimberly? Kimberly requests me. We don't want another Alyssa Milano situation with me struggling, because these gloves, they're not as mobile on the app. Everyone go follow people. Okay, good. Kimberly, where are you? Oops. Oh, unable to join. Okay. Kimberly, come back, leave and then come back. Come back. Gloves. Oh, there. Wait, it says unable to join. Why does it say Kimberly Drew is unable to join? These gloves were inspired by Valentina, one of my favorite fashion icons. Okay. There we are. Hi!
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing swell, Kimberly. Thank you so much for joining my live today. How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm very nervous, but very good. How are you?
Don't be nervous. This is going to be a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And we're going to talk a little bit about George's success and failures during his interview. But I have one question to start for you. My question is, you said on the Bad Brown Aunties podcast that you can't help but mind other people's business. You said in our discussion for the show that you wanted to ask me questions. You frequently insert your opinion sometimes, in people's comments and stuff. So my first question to you is, are Leos toxic?
No, darling. Never that. We are loving, gentle, thoughtful, beautiful people. We just like to pay attention. We want a better world.
Kimberly, what did you think of George's performance?
Is that even his real name? I love that. I love a code switch. I'm like, okay, cute. Like, I would love to just switch up every single thing about my identity to make money off of it.
Oh, speaking of making money off of things, so your Instagram and Twitter is Museum Mammy. Do you think that Black domestic workers exploitation is like good branding?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like mammy is a word that, like bitch or like the N-word, has been used in a violent way against us. And I really firmly believe in reclaiming those words, because you think about the history of the mammy. I always think about Hattie McDaniel, who is a queer icon, who was the first Black woman to receive an Oscar. What does it mean if we reclaim that word? And that's what I've tried to do in my work.
I love that.
Do you hate it, though? Do you hate it?
Do I hate it? No, I don't. I think it's cool. I actually think so. I think I love how opinionated you are online. And so I really respect I just respect what you're doing. I just think it's really, really radical and cool. And like, you are such a pathfinder. So I'm like, I support it, truly. Now, you said on Keep It that you said that being called a gatekeeper is offensive. What's wrong with Black gatekeepers?
God, it's just such a rude word because it doesn't even get into the fact that the gates are there to be kept. You know, like so many of us are invited and given opportunities and written up in the New York Times and Vanity Fair and all these other fabulous places. But we don't talk about the systems and structures that don't allow more of us opportunities, right? Instead of criticizing those who are platformed, we don't actually ask questions of who's doing the platforming. We don't ask questions of why so many people have been disenfranchised.
Okay. Would you consider yourself museum's first influencer?
Oh, God. No, absolutely not. And I do not want that label. I heard when you asked Jeremy the same question. It's just, no, there's been so many people who are incredibly influential.
Okay, so here's a question for you. You've gone on the record saying that Black women don't owe Black men shit. Why do you hate Black men?
I love Black men, first of all. But I do think, and I wrote that tweet in reference specifically to No Name, who was getting criticized for hating Black men, which is unfair and unreasonable as an accusation. But I think in general, especially speaking to No Name, she doesn't owe anyone an apology. She doesn't owe anyone their niceness. In the same way that you're doing the show, like Caroline being like, give me a cookie. It's like, there is no cookie in this game, period.
So who do you hate more, Black men or white people?
Ooh, I would say I hate neither.
That's an interesting way to not own up to anything. Okay, you refer to yourself as a Black supremacist. Do you want all white people to move back to where they came from?
When have I ever called myself a Black supremacist?
On the Bad Brown Aunties podcast that I listened to this afternoon. Go check it.
Everyone, please listen to Bad Brown Aunties. Shout out to Rage and Tanu. It is an incredible, incredible project, and that's not me deflecting. Like, they do great podcasts. They do great interviews. I do believe that Black people are exceptional people. I will not apologize for that. I just feel like supremacy as a word, especially in this time, I'm like, you know, you ever like read your old interview and you're like, who said that?
Oh, all the time. Now, so you're involved with The Wing. Do you consider yourself a white feminist?
I am deeply not a white feminist by any definition, but I do appreciate you bringing it up because in this moment, I really do need to be called in on my relationship with The Wing. So please do it. Drag me. Everyone drag me. I loved The Wing. I loved it in its iterations. There was a time in my life where it was one of very few safe spaces for me. I had someone who was stalking me, and that was where I went to seek safe haven. So if you want to come for me, come for it. There's definitely a lot of criticisms to be made, but in a city where so many Black femmes feel like there's a violence, immediate and otherwise, against us, there are many ways in which that place was a safe place for me. Was it a safe space for the Black workers that work there? Absolutely not. And it's fucking despicable.
Wow.
And I wish I'd spoken up sooner, to be quite honest.
Damn.
I can own that.
Damn. Okay, so on the LGBTQ&A podcast, you disagreed with the notion that existence is resistance. Who are you to tell me what my Black body means in cultural commentary?
Ooh, I love this question. I wouldn't say that it was necessarily a criticism of how you or anyone else utilizes their body, but I do think in a moment, especially like this one, we need to be doing more than just existing. Like existing in and of itself, yes, there is incredible violence that is facing us, and every breath and every opportunity that we as Black people have in the world is a unique privilege, unfortunately. Meanwhile, the Allison Romans of the world and all these other white people just get to freely move about the cabin. But for us, living is a radical act, absolutely. But what I'd like to see is people taking very seriously the responsibility that they have with their voice.
Wow, preach. Okay, now here's a question for you. So like me, you went to a predominantly white New England prep school.
Honey.
St. George's, Andover. Now, here's the question that I ask myself frequently. Do you think that your success in media has in part to do with how palatable you are because of the prep school experience?
Ooh, do you think that of yourself? I will absolutely answer, but I'm curious if you think that of yourself.
I asked you first.
Okay, I'll happily answer first. Also, like, everyone, I don't know how you feel about asking for Venmo donations. I hate when people are like, Venmo this person. But honestly, the work that you're doing on the show, and also knowing that you went to prep school, like, The traumatic experiences that we have survived, honey. But yes, did I learn very intimately how to speak to people who absolutely hate me? Yes, I did. I got really skilled at quieting myself, at shrinking myself, at hating myself. Prep school does it to you. You wake up every day with these folks at their worst. Like, high school is the worst. Imagine not being able to go home. That's what we went through. And so I think for myself, especially, like, if you look at older interviews, I was palatable as fuck. I was a very good Negro. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm not as invested in that. Like, I believe so much more in the politics and the necessary nature of being really fucking messy, which is why I don't want to in any way police what you're doing on the show. And not to say that it's messy in a bad way, but I do think that there's a way that you're able to push against the status quo, to push against palatability, to push against niceness, and not in like an evil way. Like, I hate anyone who's calling you evil right now, because what you are doing is a public service. But yeah, we have to learn the tools to survive, honey.
I mean, I definitely think that a lot of prominent media Black people came through like a nice college or a nice prep school, and I don't think that that's a coincidence.
No. No, because nepotism is real. Even if they hate us, they're like, I mean, the question that you ask of all of your guests, how many Black friends do you have? And they're like, 4, because they know that there's a cachet in being proximate to Black people. People know there's a cachet, you know, Carolyn coming on the show, or Alyssa Milano, our enslaved sister, coming on this show, thinking that they're doing you a public service, right? Like, you're fucking stupid.
LOL.
We hate it.
Who was your favorite? You've watched, so I love your comment. You, Quinta, Larry Owens, Julio Torres, Sydney Washington, like Io Debris. A lot of y'all have hilarious comments, and they make me laugh so much. So who has been your favorite and least favorite guest?
Oh, I love this. My first interview that I watched, I think it was Nick. And I DM'd you after that episode.
Yeah,
because I was like, I was in shock. I'm genuinely in shock. I think that this project is so good. I want every network to be in a huge bidding war to bring you on. I was watching all the YouTube videos today. That Pat Regan episode.
I love it.
What? When he storms off, I was like, what is going on?
Amazing. I caught it.
When he was like, June is my month, honey, and then started screaming at you.
Iconic television.
Iconic. Okay. That's probably my least favorite in like OG baited, but new baited, I would say Nick. New baited, I would say Allison Roman, because she's so comfortable with all the things she doesn't know. As a chef, it is your duty to care for people. Like, you're making things for people to ingest. You're researching, you're learning, you're appropriating by nature. And that she was so comfortable in her ignorance and seriously brought it to this platform, this sacred platform that you're building, and felt I don't even know what the word is, like, because guilt, like, white people took that. But she felt she felt light in her ignorance. And that bothered me. That bothered me a lot. And every white person that DMs me about your show also.
What did they say?
Because they're like, oh, your comments were so funny. And I'm like, babe, you could be on the show. How do you deal with white people who think they're good and therefore think that they can be proximate to you?
Meaning, like, in the ways that they, like, what do you mean?
Like, where they're like, oh my God, girl, that was so funny, and in no way own up to their own bullshit.
So I don't mind comments that compliment me, because I'm a Pisces. I'm so sensitive. So I love compliments. What I do not love is the constant tagging me in racist shit, being like, you have to see this, you have to interview this person. That's where that's the politics of it, of like, because this show is about like agency and autonomy, and it does take away my autonomy when you demand things from me. So it's like double-edged sword, because I have to be really open to create a conducive environment for like learning. And it's hard. It's not easy, but it's something that I'm willing to do because I think the art is worth it.
Yeah. How are you taking care of yourself right now?
I spend a lot of time doing my makeup, and that makes me so happy. Also, what else do I do? That's it, really.
Mm.
I just do my show every Thursday at 8 p.m. Everybody go watch the old episodes with Pat Regan and Gary Richardson and
Gary Richardson. Are you guys still friends?
I like Gary Richardson. I think he's so funny.
I would fight him.
You would?
I would fight him.
Why?
He was so rude.
Interesting. You have
the way that he was talking to you? Come on.
Interesting.
It was a very like Drea, Megan Thee Stallion moment. Like it was just like no one asked you. No one was at the show to watch Gary.
But I asked him. What do you mean?
You asked him, but I'm just saying in general, he was like on his high horse as if he was doing some favor, blah blah blah. And I don't know. I don't know.
I get the sense, and tell me what you think, that you take it a little personally to see the way that guests react to me as like this vessel for Black women.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you expand on that?
Because I care about you. I really love you.
I love you too.
And I think you're brilliant. And I think,
my God, I think you're brilliant.
Yeah, there's a generosity that you bring to this platform that, like, I don't know, people think that they can berate you and yell at you because they assume that you're like out to get them. And so instead of listening, you know, even when you were talking to George about Black artists, which makes everyone sweat, it's like, why is your voice, and like, why are you getting so aggravated? It's like, you don't know, and that's okay. And I will then explain to you who this person is. But instead of being like, I don't know who Farrakhan is, they're like, I don't know who Farrakhan is. And then give some like bullshit answer and then get angry when you correct them. And it's just like, if y'all don't see this as a public service, then I don't know. Like, let's stop invisibilizing the labor of Black women.
I did not expect this to go there, but you know what? Like the real world, it did. And I really appreciate that perspective. I think I don't always agree with you, but what I like is that you're really strong in your convictions. You're really strong in your convictions. Okay, here's a question for you. Caroline Calloway, where does she stand in your general ether of like cultural knowledge?
I honestly had no idea who she was until you platformed her.
Oh, you don't want me to interview J.K. Rowling, famously?
No.
Why?
Because I don't think, so if there's any criticism that I have, or any, not criticism, but more curiosity, is just where do you draw the line?
That's the question. So I don't know. There are people who who pitched themselves to be interviewed by me, and I'm not as eager because of what they represent. I think that they're more nefarious. I try to interview people who have good intentions.
So you think J.K. Rowling, who has been adamantly transphobic, has good intentions?
No, but also when I tweet, come on my show, I don't necessarily expect them to answer. It's more of a meme that I've created out of my art.
So what's funny about inviting a hateful person onto your show?
So in that context, to me, it's funny because it's like this woman is clearly wilding. So to invite someone and call them an iconic guest, it's to say you are being out of pocket. No one has ever responded positively to those tweets. I have not booked Leah Michelle yet. I've not booked J.K. Rowling yet. So it's a meme that I've created. But I understand that it really triggers.
Yeah, because it's interesting to see you in the earlier weeks do fundraising for Black trans femmes, and then later invite a TERF onto your show. Totally. You see the conflict.
Definitely. But to me, I think that this is a moment to say, hey, you're wild. Like, what is wrong with you? How can you ever talk about these people who are marginalized like that? Like, that's just absolutely absurd that you are so rich and you're so concerned about these people's bodies. So I see it as a way to bring light to a lot of people who don't see this as an issue.
Okay, so she's a medium.
Journal interviews, and that's why that's what I do.
Interesting. Yeah, because I was like, I'm with it. I want to check in with you. I want to see how you're doing. I'm also Pisces rising, so I'm very sensitive too. I feel that deeply. But I was like, damn, I think it's interesting to have a show where you bring people on who need to learn, who you want to have an investigative conversation with because you dedicate all this time and resource to learning about them. But when we invite people who are genuinely hateful, it disrespects the show. It disrespects the platform that you're building.
But that's not for you to say that it disrespects my show.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think that point is really valid, because most people are like excited. Oh my God, like what would a J.K. Rowling interview be like? But here's the thing: this is not something within the realm of possibility at this moment. It just isn't. Like,
so if JK came back to you and said, yes, I'll be on the show, what would you do?
I would definitely think about it and probably say yes. But that's not something I have said yes to, because it's not something that exists.
So where do you draw the limit? Like a Klansman, or like what's the, like what level of hate and racism or transphobia is like, no?
I truly don't know. I haven't crossed that bridge before. Like, I don't know. There's really I've really been toying with the idea of, like, you know how the New York Times will write, like, oh, we went to like the mines in South Carolina to interview like 5 Trump voters, right? And people are like, why would you do that? Like, why are you giving these people a platform? They're so marginal. They're so like out of the way. But I think it would be really interesting to have me personally talk to like 5 miners in South Carolina about Trump voting. Like, I think that would bring a really interesting perspective to that genre of journalism. So I'm really trying to like not only spark really interesting like racial dialogue, but also critique media. So where do I draw the line at Klansmen, at TERF? I do not know. This show is ever evolving. It's an organism that exists with my audience and with my guests. So I don't know, truly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's there's what, nearly 5,000 people watching right now.
Sure.
And there's many ways that I'm benefiting from being here with you. And so I wonder what it means, because every time there's an article that's written about you as well, those names go along with you. And so I trust that you will make the best decision. And I also want to be with you to do that aftercare. If you ever want to call on me, like, I am here. I want to hear how you're feeling. But I also worry about taking very seriously extremely hateful rhetoric. Because that's what this show does. You platform people. You have really beautiful discourse with them. You research for your interviews. And then you post them. So you're continuing to perpetuate the ideas that are brought out of people in your dialogues. So I just worry about what happens when we platform. I mean, it's like the op-ed section and that whole blow up. It's like, what happens when we invite hateful people and platform them and empower them to share words that would hurt others?
I guess from my perspective, J.K. Rowling has 7 hit films with Warner Brothers. She has several books. She has a larger platform than I might ever have, truly. So from my perspective, I just don't. I think that I'm punching up. She's pretty famous, I would argue. Actually, much more famous than me, and I think I'm great.
So okay. I hope that you get so much more famous. And you don't need JK. That's what I'll say.
I understand that. I don't think that I need JK.
I don't think you need JK either.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Like, I don't think that there's any benefit in bringing on, like I said already, there's no benefit in bringing on hateful people. And those aren't the shoulders that any of us should be crawling on towards our ascents. Like,
I am trying to have really provocative conversations. So I have to talk to a lot of provocative people who I don't agree with wholly. And right now in this Instagram live space, it's mostly people with good intentions, but who's to say where this goes? But hopefully in every single person I speak to, I bring truth to power and I take down demons. That's the goal. So why did you come on this show?
I came on this show because actually, okay, so my idea, so everyone who's watching and everyone who has texted me and been like, oh my God, why are you, like, what did you do to go unbaited? Blah, 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 blah. Like, beyond the fact that it's exceptional. I wanted to come on just to have a conversation with you because I think you're brilliant and I love watching the show. I love the comment section. I love the Q&As. I love the looks, okay? You look amazing today.
Thank you.
Just like Black excellence right here. So I wanted to come and just hang out. And I was hoping maybe we would talk later so we could have like a very like, I don't know, it feels like an Oprah retrospective. Like, what happened this season, you know? And then we like bring up clips.
I love that. No,
I'm down to talk. We're gonna be friends. This is very cool. Before you go, please name some Black artists. So people, because you have an encyclopedic knowledge of art history. So please drop some knowledge darts in the just for the people in the comments, so we can have support some people. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, people we should support.
Sure.
Let's think. I would absolutely say Texas Isaiah, who's an incredible photographer. I'd say Aya Brown, who's an incredible illustrator. Let's see, Tyler Mitchell, of course, Juliana Huxtable, Adrian Raquel, February James, Chase Hall, who I love very much, Mosey Rumney, who I love very much. And then beyond people, I would say it's really important to support institutions right now, because a lot of Black institutions, due to COVID-19, are having to shutter their doors. And so I want to shout out the Colored Girls Museum, the Paul Robeson Museum, my birthplace, the Studio Museum in Harlem, NMAHC, the Blacksonian. So if you have resource,
Go support.
hit them up.
We do this for y'all. We do this for art. Guys, give it up for Kimberly Drew. They are fantastic. They are brilliant encyclopedic knowledge of art.
Hi, Thelma.
Guys, wow, what a great show. I'm like sweating. Guys, next week we have a fantastic show. We have Grace Kulin Schmidt. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that, but she is a fantastic, hilarious comedian. And then we also have Alexis Haynes, aka Alexis Nyers of the Bling Ring. So I'll see y'all next week, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place. Bye.